Hi, this is Sal Jade from the Psychic Healing Academy, and welcome to day 20 of staying positive and motivated while you are manifesting your goals. So yesterday we talked about how to master surrender and how to let go of trying to control your goals and how to surrender them up to the higher forces so that they move along much faster and you're not blocking them with your anxiety and your stress. Today, I wanted to go into the very controversial subject of astrology and how you can use astrology to remove blockages from your goals. Now, before I get started on this tip and before I lose you completely, for those of you who look at astrology and say, what a load of rubbish, I want you just to be a little bit open-minded but not neurotic. So I'll talk about what I mean by that. So just be a little bit open-minded about what it means when planets are doing certain things and how that affects the energy on the earth and how that can affect you, but without being obsessive with it, because I know there are a lot of spiritual healers and a lot of people out there who are completely obsessed with that, and that can almost create a fear environment as well. So we're going to talk today about how to balance using astrology and being able to tap into and understand and recognizing when certain things are going on in the planets that could potentially affect your business or whatever artistic projects that you're trying to work on. So when I talk about astrology, I'm not just talking about your basic horoscopes, although I do feel like it is important that you understand your own unique horoscope, so what star sign you are and perhaps what ascendant you have. In terms of understanding what's in your 12 houses, and for those of you who don't know much about astrology, that's where the planets were when you were born. I don't really feel like you need to know everything about that. It is useful, but it's not absolutely crucial for manifesting success, certainly. But it does help to understand a little bit more about your own personal profile and, what your strengths and your weaknesses are when you're working towards your goals. So for me, for example, being an Aries, one of my weaknesses is that we can be a little bit impulsive and we can often we can often speak before we think, and that can lead to communication problems, and that can lead to, being accused of being a little bit insensitive. And so having to learn to master that over the years and to be just a little bit softer in my approach and a bit less domineering has definitely helped my levels of success and my goals. So for you, what I would like to look at, not going into your own personal horoscope, and also, by the way, I don't really necessarily recommend reading your personal horoscope every single day, like your daily horoscope. You don't have to get that obsessive. But finding a good astrologer, and it can be someone online who just does like a weekly tip-off or a monthly tip-off, and just tapping in and tuning in with what the planets are doing at the particular time. Now, I'm sure most of you know what a retrograde Mercury is. Retrograde Mercury is, we have them a few times a year, and it's when the communication planet of Mercury goes backwards. So it means that communications can often get turned upside down. It's usually not a good time to start new projects. It goes for about 3 or 4 weeks, and it's usually a good time to make sure that you are understanding all the finer details if you're signing a contract, and if you are traveling, to just double check all the details, just so there's not any confusion or misunderstanding. So that in a nutshell is retrograde Mercury. However, sadly enough, over the years, there's been a lot of hype and negativity around retrograde Mercury, and while it is a time to be cautious, it's not a time to be in fear. And it is, as I said, it's time just to look a little bit extra at the details and to perhaps pull back and retreat and, finish up old projects instead of just focusing on taking big action on new projects. So right now we're in a retrograde Mercury, for example, in this 3-week period, and I am just being a little bit extra cautious because I'm going traveling next week, that I'm looking at my documents and making sure that I'm leaving the airport at the time I'm meant to be leaving the airport, and I'm booking a shuttle bus and making sure that it aligns up with my flights, and just a little bit of extra caution. And that's all you really have to do. And I'm just being aware to not start any new projects during this time, just holding off a couple of weeks. Again, not getting neurotic about it, but just being a bit cautious. Something I've been working with a lot in the last couple of years is understanding more than just the retrograde Mercury, and understanding where the planets are in terms of goals and success, and when it is a good time to be launching something and when it should be maybe waiting for a week. So I'm going to give you a quick example of a recent trip to Bali that I had planned and was very excited about. And the whole point of this trip was I was going to take 2 weeks off of my business and just have a break from my business. And then I was going to come back and flat out work really hard to get me towards the end of the year. And anyone who's done my Build Your Spiritual Healing Business on a Budget course, I talk about planning. And, I do these 3-month and 6-month charts where I write this, like I say, I'm going to publish a Kindle book. These are the steps I need to take to do it. And so I had one of those charts on my wall behind me, and it's all like, right, this is what I'm going to do when I get back in July, and I'm going to go bang, 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 right up till the end of the year. And I had it all planned. I was keen to go. And probably the last 3 or 4 days I was in Bali, I checked in on Facebook, which I hadn't been doing much, but I checked in and I was reading about, with my astrologer that I connect with and get subscription from, I was reading about, she was talking about this retrograde Mars, and I thought, oh, what's that? And, I had a little look, and again, I didn't want to get neurotic, I just wanted to be informed. And I looked at the retrograde Mars and it said, right, for the month of July, there's probably going to be full of energy, and you're going to be really ready, because that's the Mars thing, the planet of war, and to be full of energy and going through, but because it's going backwards, there might be delays in things, and so that might be frustrating, and, because you're going to really want to power ahead, and you'll have this energy and strength to power ahead, but you actually need to just pull back and wait, and August is a better month for things to start taking off. Now, sometimes I can get a bit cynical, even myself, even though I'm talking to you about astrology, and I kind of went, what? No, I'm ready to power ahead when I get back. I'm relaxed. I've got all these, task plans, and I'm going to fire ahead. And I thought, what delays could possibly happen? What could possibly interfere with my plans? I'm ready. I'm going full sail ahead in July. I know exactly how it's going to work out. And so I landed back in Australia to discover on the 1st of July that I had no internet, or 1.4 megabytes per second internet. And this 1.4 megabytes per second internet went on for the whole month of July, and it dropped out every few minutes, and I just couldn't run my business very well. Like, all these plans that I had, I was in this state of utter frustration because my internet was gone. And so I had to suddenly go, oh my God, if all this action and energy I had to just sit back and go, look, I just need to do the best I can right now, and hope that it will move better in August. Now, because I was forewarned with that knowledge that July, because of the retrograde Mars and then going into this next stage, was going to be a month of delays, I didn't freak out too much about it. I just kind of went with the flow. And so that's how astrology can work for you, is just, it gives you that awareness so you don't go into victimhood and go, why me? Why is this happening? You can just go, okay, look, there's going to be delays, and just kind of laugh it off a bit, because laughing always lifts your vibration anyway. And then, once August hit, I got literally a couple of days into August, my internet came back on after 4 technicians coming to fix it, and it fired ahead, and I was able to really pick up on my goals and run with them. And I know me, like, I kind of really could have struggled with those delays if I hadn't been forewarned about that. Like, I could have probably kept pushing ahead. And instead, I was able to pull back and go, okay, I can't work on these internet-based goals. What can I work on? What can I do that doesn't require the internet? And I did that, and for whatever reason, those were the goals I was meant to work on. And now that we're gone through August and we're in September, I'm in the flow of moving forward. So as I said, try not to build a fear base about it, but do try to connect in and just understand a little bit about eclipses, the Mercury retrograde, and Saturn is really important to understand, because your Saturn return, and when your house goes into Saturn, it can mean that the universe wants you to grow up a bit, and some really old painful wounds can be coming up, and you can feel a little bit of depression and helplessness. So being aware of when Saturn's coming into your energy field, depending on when you were born, that's helpful too. And as I said, just being a little bit conscious about when there's delays. Like, you don't have to read the daily horoscope and get fearful, but maybe some kind of finding an astrologer on Facebook or someone that you connect with, and just, getting a bit of a monthly overview. That can really help without getting too fanatical about it. So for me, the lady I love is a lady called Elizabeth Peru, and she gives I've got like a yearly subscription to her, and she sends out every week, what's going on. And I do a brief overview. I don't go too deep. I just skim it and go, okay, that's good to know. That's good. Right now the planets are aligned with how they were in 2002, what was going on for me in 2002, and being able to go, what did I learn in 2002? How can I apply that to what's going on in my life now? So she works like that, and I kind of dig that. Like, I like being able to go, okay, that's where the planets are there, and that's how they were back then. So what's the similar with my life then and now, and my goal setting? And I work really well in my journey and with manifesting what I need to manifest with that particular little strategy. So I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson on astrology. And I know for some people it might seem a bit woo-woo, but as I said, I've found it really useful for just seeing what energy is going on in the world. Hi Darren, it makes sense as my work case has been delayed for the last month. Yes, but I've been able to get more evidence. Thank you, Darren. Yes, that's a really good point. Like things that you've been working on suddenly get this inexplainable delay, and you can, instead of feeling frustration, you can just say, okay, this is just what's going on right now. And it doesn't mean you're giving up. It just means you might have to think outside the box a bit more, or maybe focus on something else until that particular planetary time passes. And then, you're full steam ahead again and things start picking up steam. So for you, look at your goals and just try to think, okay, maybe I'll just do a little bit of research on astrology, a little bit of research on the planet, understanding when Mercury retrograde is, understanding where Saturn is in your house is really good, and just understand, what kind of eclipses are coming in. Eclipses are very important for the energy of the earth, what's coming in and what that means, like a solar eclipse, like what that means for what's going on. Is it close to a full moon or a new moon? That's also good to understand as well. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and I hope this has been really useful for helping you just being able to, as I said, I just use it as a bit of extra guidance in my journey, just having a little bit of a basic understanding of astrology and using that to remove blockages and to just go with the flow when I need to go with the flow. So thank you so much for joining me. This is Sal Jade from the Psychic Healing Academy, and thank you Darren for joining me too. It's lovely to see you here, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 21 of staying positive and manifesting with your goals.